You're listening to the Digest This podcast, and I'm your host, Bethany Cameron. All right, did you guys know maltodextrin is in natural flavors, and it's in a lot of other ingredients that you may be familiar with or read on a label, but you don't know that. And if you don't see maltodextrin in the ingredient list, it doesn't necessarily mean it's not in that product. So that's what I want to talk about today, where you can find maltodextrin, where it's hidden, what to look for on a label, and why you should be avoiding maltodextrin in the first place. Here's a hint. Maltodextrin is in a lot of stevia products and it spikes your blood sugar. So if you're consuming stevia thinking that you are not spiking your blood sugar, you could just be doing the opposite because a lot of stevia has maltodextrin in it. All right. So did I pique your interest in any sort of way? This is definitely an episode you want to listen to. You guys always see me raving about Fatty 15 on my Instagram, and I've been taking it for about a year now and have even gotten my husband on board. Well, why? Because Fatty 15 is the first supplement ever to help cellular fragility syndrome, which is due to low levels of the essential fatty acid C15. The pure C15 ingredient in Fatty 15 has 26 more cellular benefits than omega-3 and repairs 83% of cell types. As many as 1 in 3 people worldwide may have low C15 levels and cellular fragility syndrome. So if you think your omega fish oil is doing you good, think again and try Fatty 15 for a change. And the icing on the cake is that Fatty 15 is 100% vegan with no burpy fish smell. If you are wanting to stop oxidation in the body and slow down aging, or just looking for a safer alternative to omega fish oil, give Fatty 15 a try just like I did. You can get an additional 15% off their 90-day subscription starter kit by going to fatty15/digest and use code DIGEST at checkout. What is maltodextrin? Is it safe? So, it's a white powder that is it's tasteless. It dissolves in water, and it's an additive in a wide range of foods. And the reason it's added to foods is to improve the texture, the flavor, and the shelf life. It is possible to make maltodextrin from any starchy food, and the majority of maltodextrin in products today are made from corn, but other common sources are from potato, wheat, tapioca, and rice. Although the powder comes from these natural products, it undergoes severe processing and is extremely altered, just like stevia. Stevia, if you are growing stevia in your backyard and you pick the leaf from a plant and you grind it up and you dry it, I don't really think there's an issue with it. But how does a green leaf stevia plant get into a white powder? I feel like a broken record, but it goes through a 42-step process, including bleaching, because you have to think, well, how did this green leaf become white all of a sudden? Well, bleach is definitely part of the 42-step process. In addition to the maltodextrin coming from a possible wheat, you have to be careful if you have a wheat or gluten allergy. That's a gray area if they list that as an allergen. A lot of it does come from corn, but again, a lot of people have corn issues. And again, if you are strict carnivore or paleo, it's coming from rice, it's coming from tapioca, potato, it's coming from a starch. And so to make it, manufacturers put starch through a process called hydrolysis, which uses water, enzymes, and acids to break the starch into smaller pieces, resulting in a white powder consisting of sugar molecules. People, like I just mentioned, people with food allergies, especially celiac, should be aware that maltodextrin can come with traces of gluten when wheat is the source of the starch. I want to emphasize that. Now, most companies are using gluten-free sources just to avoid that whole lawsuit, basically. But where do you find it? Let's go in there. So obviously, it's in protein powders, protein bars, chips, drink mixes, baked goods, electrolytes, cereals, various snack items, cookies, breads. I mean, It's even in savory things. If you're thinking, oh, it's just in the sugary stuff that I don't buy, it can be I've seen it in soups. I've seen it in store-bought bone broth, not bona fide. They're very super clean, but I've seen it in a lot of other bone broths and quote, health food and wellness items. And you could be just consuming it daily, multiple times a day, and not even know it. Maltodextrin, it's used so widely. It's for thickening foods even, or for liquids. It's to help to bind the ingredients together. It's helped to, quote, improve the texture or flavor, help to preserve those foods and their shelf life, because the longer the shelf life, the more profit the company has, because they're not losing products that are spoiling. So if a company has a long shelf life with a product, that benefits them so much more, because they're not having to toss away all the spoiled food that wasn't sold, right? So maltodextrin, oddly enough, is used to replace sugar or fat in low-calorie processed foods such as peanut butter and sugar-free desserts. But it's so weird because maltodextrin is far from sugar-free. After it's been processed, maltodextrin results as a very easy to digest carbohydrate and can provide energy rapidly. Due to this fact, manufacturers add this powder to many sports drinks on purpose. So, it gives them that quick energy that an athlete needs. Again, it's in pasta. Like, you're going to see it in meat substitutes, frozen meals, salad dressings, baked goods. You're going to see it in sugar alternatives. As I mentioned, you may find it in your stevia or maybe in your monk fruit. I know a lot of other stevia and monk fruit brands, if they don't use maltodextrin, they're using erythritol. And that causes tons of bloating and gas and other digestive issues. So it's like, oh, you think you're getting better or you're doing better by opting with something that is mixed with erythritol. Well, that's another issue. Or allulose. Things are mixed with allulose, all these fake sweeteners. And I say fake because I don't consider monk fruit or stevia to be natural in the form when it's sold in a store. Obviously, it comes from a plant. Monk fruit comes from a fruit. But again, it's not natural anymore once it's being packaged and sold in the store. Some manufacturers also add maltodextrin to lotions, hair products, and even livestock feed. And you know why they add it to livestock feed? To fatten them up. So if they're adding maltodextrin to livestock feed to purposely fatten them up, what do you think maltodextrin is doing to us humans consuming it? Yeah, same thing. All right. So is it safe though? Okay. So maybe it's causing us to, increase our blood sugar, getting these spikes and causing us to gain weight. But, it's still safe, right? Is it? Well, according to the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, AKA the FDA, maltodextrin is GRAS, which means generally recognized as safe. They state it's a food additive. Okay, so they know they're naming it and claiming it. It's a food additive, and that's a red flag right there. Food additive. Who wants that? Even though the FDA has approved maltodextrin, that doesn't mean it's healthy. In fact, research has linked maltodextrin with possible health risks, including diabetes. So let's talk about it. So the glycemic index, that's something that a lot of diabetics, it's on their mind constantly, probably. I'm not diabetic, but I know a lot of diabetics, and that is definitely on the forefront of their mind. So maltodextrin can actually increase your glycemic index higher than table sugar. Let me repeat that. Maltodextrin can increase your glycemic index more than table sugar. All right. So again, just because it's not written down on the back of the label you're reading doesn't mean maltodextrin is not in there, because it could be hidden in natural flavors. It could be hidden in the sugar alternatives that are in that product. Just be aware. Again, if you're not familiar, a high glycemic index means that the sugars in these foods will quickly enter the bloodstream where the body will absorb them. In contrast, complex carbohydrates such as fruit, beans, and rice are more healthy, because the body absorbs them slowly. This makes people feel full for a more extended period of time. But I mean, maltodextrin is like just sugar shooting it up in your bloodstream. Let's talk about gut health. So it does affect your gut bacteria even. So evidence does suggest that maltodextrin may affect the balance of gut bacteria, which obviously they play an important role in people's health. People who consume maltodextrin may have a reduced number of good bacteria and an increased quantity of harmful bacteria. That's like a double-edged sword right there. This could potentially lead to intestine damage and a higher risk of inflammatory bowel disease. Studies have shown that maltodextrin increases the activity of E. coli bacteria, which may have a role in the development of the inflammatory bowel disease known as Crohn's disease. So I don't want E. coli, and I don't want Crohn's, and I don't want maltodextrin. That's just not a good combo. There was another study that has linked maltodextrin to the survival of salmonella bacteria, which may cause gastrointestinal issues and a broad range of chronic inflammatory conditions. And another study suggested that maltodextrin may also compromise the ability of cells to respond to bacteria. It could also suppress intestine defense mechanisms against them, leading to intestinal disorders. And if you're one to try and avoid GMO ingredients, well, maltodextrin is very commonly sourced from GMO corn. And GMOs are harmful to the environment and our health because of the increased use of herbicides and pesticides on GMO crops and ultimately trickling down into our food supply and into us. Now, I don't want this to be all doom and gloom, and there's a lot of negativity about maltodextrin, but are there any benefits? Like anything? So I did mention it's a cheap and effective food product that can, of course, improve the taste, shelf life, etc. So there's that argument that, it benefits the shelf life, but I personally don't want my food having a long shelf life. I want it to go bad and know when it's bad so that I don't eat it. I mean, and again, I did mention that athletes sometimes take it on purpose to gain muscle or to gain body weight if they are bodybuilding or if they, need energy, like a quick source of energy. But other than that, there's really no benefit. So now that you are more aware and have a better understanding on what maltodextrin really is, would you consume it or products containing it? I truly encourage you to raid your pantry or go to the grocery store and simply look at your favorite products to see if they contain maltodextrin or natural flavors or stevia or monk fruit. And if you've already been an advocate to steer clear of maltodextrin and have been shamed or made fun of for it, just share this episode with those people who make fun of you and give them the quick and dirty lowdown on maltodextrin, and then encourage them, and I encourage you to do your research on it. Look up these studies because you can't go wrong with removing it from your diet. Removing natural flavors, it hijacks our taste buds anyways, right? And then we can enjoy what food is supposed to taste like, not that artificial flavor of a strawberry. So, all right, I'll get off my soapbox here. I hope this was helpful, educational, and it hopefully empowered you to make the switch. And it could be just that missing link that you've been looking for to make your health better. Thanks for listening to this episode of Digest This. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave a review in your podcast app to let us know. If you're ever wondering how you can support me and this podcast, sharing it with your friends and family is the best way. This is a Wellness Loud production produced by Drake Peterson and edited by Mike Fry. To check out more shows by my team, go to wellnessloud.com, and to email the show, message us at digestthispod@gmail.com. See you next time. The content of this show is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not a substitute for individual medical and mental health advice and does not constitute a provider-patient relationship. As always, talk to your doctor or health team first.